So I'm on the trail again. About 2 weeks ago I was out on a foraging class, foraging for wild edibles, a basic class hosted by Cliff Serentine. And he has a farm and homestead up in the mountains of North Nova Scotia. And I learned a few things that I didn't know. Of course, that's the whole reason for going. Took my two daughters along, and we enjoyed a fine day in the woods with a number of people, and Cliff hosting and showing us a number of wild edibles. And I thought I'd put some of that knowledge to use. So I brought along my forage bag, and I'm just going to hike through the woods here, see what I can find. See if it's anything new that I haven't, maybe I've walked right past it before and didn't recognize it for what it is. So I'm going to add to the knowledge I have. If I'm sure of what I see in front of me, then I'll harvest it and we'll take a look at it. Alright, if you're interested in seeing what I come up with, follow along. So just a few feet further on, I look down and lo and behold, I see two edible plants. Now, one of them is edible now, the other one hasn't produced what you would consume on that. So the first one I'm looking at is the bunchberry. So that's what the bunchberry plant looks like. There's not much to see right now because the berries themselves have not come out on these plants, and they will over time, and I'll probably find them again, and then we'll talk more about the bunchberries. But right next to it are the plants that I'm interested in right now. These long elliptical shaped leaves that have quite a deep furrow going down the center towards the ground. And these look a lot like what are referred to as ramps, or wild onion, or wild leek are often called. But these aren't ramps. As far as I know, we have no ramps in Nova Scotia. This is the blue bead lily. Now it'll produce a berry on a tall thin stalk at some point. I think they're a little later here right now than I've seen elsewhere. But they'll have a distinctly pastel blue berry on it. The berry itself, I understand, is not edible. In fact, may be poisonous. So I'm not the person that's going to take the chance and try that out and figure it out for myself. But the leaves are. The leaves are entirely edible. And the leaves, let's see if I can grab one here. Shiny, a bit of a rubbery feeling. Underside, you can see the distinct center vein. Very fine veins throughout the leaf, but nothing pronounced. No edges or no sharpness on the edges. And what this leaf tastes like and feels like is two different things. It feels like it's quite, well, it folds up nicely and it has a nice texture to it. I'm not sure what it would be like cooked, but its taste is what will really be a telltale sign. Very distinctly cucumber. And I wasn't quite sure until I tried it for the first time, but oh yeah, you swear you're eating cucumbers, but the texture's all wrong. So that is the blue bead lily. I think I'll harvest a few of these leaves and take them along for my lunch. my, what an afternoon. Been hiking for about 5 hours, and first part of the hike I picked up a number of wild edibles. Well, some things I'm going to use for tea, some wintergreen, some sweet fern. But the rest of the hike I didn't find what I was looking for. I was looking for a few medicinal mushrooms, specifically turkey tail. Not a bit, anywhere. Might get lucky on the way home, but finally made it to my site where I like to sit down and have my lunch, and just slowly got my fire together. And I know the last time I was here, I forgot to show you my lunch. So I'm going to show it to you today. What you can make of it. So if you watched my earlier video about budget meals and putting together budget meals, this is an example of one of those budget meals. I have some dehydrated chicken, I have some dehydrated venison, I have some dehydrated onions, potatoes, peas, corn, what else is in here? Some other green things. There's kasha in here, which is buckwheat, and then there's the soup base. I'm not even sure which soup base this one is. I think it's could be taco soup base. The smell of it. Let's have a smell. Oh man, does that ever smell good? Oh, there's green beans in here, peas, mung beans, carrots. Everything is in here. Parsnips. And I brought a pot out today I don't normally bring because I wanted to see if I could do something else with it today. I brought my large MSR stowaway pot. I forget how big it is. It's about 2 liters. I think it's 175 or 185. I'll annotate it on the screen. I don't often bring that out because it's much too big for one person for the most part. But you can also use this thing as a fry pan, and that's kind of what I'm going to do with it today. If I get the opportunity before we leave, I am going to roast some green coffee beans and have a nice cup of coffee. So let me turn the camera around. I'll show you the pot, show you how to get it set up over the fire. I found something in the woods just short of here. It's like a big piece of spring steel. I'm not sure what it's from. It's quite solid. I tried to bend it and there was no way it was bending. It was already bent in a V, and you'll see that. I thought that might not make a bad pot stand, just laying here with the fire. And it seems to be working pretty good. Okay, let me show you the setup as I put my soup on. It'll take about 10 minutes for it to, I think, to rehydrate and get nice and ready to eat. So I'll turn you around and show you the pot. I started this off with quite a big roaring fire a few minutes ago, and now it's just kind of, you can see the water's just simmering there, which is perfect for what I want to do. I'm going to take that off and see if I can't bring some of those coals in a little closer. I don't want to build a fire up just right now. Pour my lunch in. Alright, yeah, that looks good. Okay, that's going to take a few minutes, so put the lid back on. We'll just keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't boil over. Bring it back when it's time to eat. I almost forgot. I was in here a few minutes ago and it started to sprinkle rain unexpectedly. Beautiful. Now the silence, there's not a breeze in this little cove where I'm sitting. Sorry, I'm talking with my mouth full. I was going to show you my lunch. So here's what it looks like. Get it in frame. I'm going to have to tilt the camera forward to show you this. There's what it looks like all cooked up. All my vegetables rehydrated. Chunks of meat, chicken, corn, you name it. Tasty. Probably should have added a little spice to it, but hot day like this, yeah, probably actually the spice would have made it taste even better. Anyway, that's what I'm having for lunch. Let me give you a pan around of the view I'm looking at right now, because it's just so relaxing. I'll show you. So I'm sitting on the lake shore here, and I'm just going to give you a pan. You can see the water is so calm that it's reflecting the trees and the sky above. A minute ago a family of ducks went by. Kind of special. I got it on video and I'll put that in as well. Look how calm it is. I brought my little fishing rod with me because, let's see if I can, I think I may have just missed that. There are fish jumping. I don't think they're very big though. They're just enjoying the stillness as well. Isn't that relaxing? Wish you were here. So a viewer asked me recently about roasting green beans in the wood, if I would show that again. And I have shown that before here, actually in this pretty much the same spot where I'm at right now, but it was done over an alcohol stove in my very early series on coffee in the woods. But I thought I'd bring some green beans out today. Now I did bring some roasted beans, but I also brought some green beans as well. And that's one of the reasons why I brought my MSR pot. It's because it's large enough that I can use it as a fry pan. I would have liked to have brought a cast iron fry pan, but I had enough weight in my pack today, to be quite honest. So this is going to double not only as a pot, and then after I roast the coffee beans, I'll use it to boil my water for the coffee. So let me just set the fire up a little bit. I have to knock down some of that flames, and so I just have coals, and we'll get to work. All right. So roasting coffee over the fire means knocking down your flames so that you have mostly coals. Even so, if you have a little bit of flame, it's not going to be the end of the world, because what you have to do, regardless, is keep the beans moving. So that's a bit more flame than I would have liked. There was a little grill here. I wonder if I can use this. Yeah. Somebody had left a little cake stand grill here. I think I can use that to help out. Here's my pan on the flame. I have about 3 tablespoons of green beans, which is more than enough for the coffee I'm going to use today. Alright, pour those in. Little spatula. So I've talked about this before, the roasting of coffee. It doesn't matter what method you're using, whether you're doing it over the fire like I am right now, if you're doing it with some device at home like a popcorn maker, or if you're using it over the stove at home even, either an element stove or a gas stove, it really doesn't matter. It's all about keeping the beans moving. You don't want them to heat up too quickly, and you don't want them to burn unevenly. It'll take a few minutes, but already the beans are starting to change color. See if I can show you that. Some of them are changing color already. Ooh, nice smell. So as I move the beans around, pretty soon they'll go into what's known as first crack. And that's the first of the many, many changes that the beans will undergo during the roasting process. And what's happening is they're starting to expand from the little bit of moisture that's sealed up inside of them. It's getting a little hot. Lift them off the flame here. And as they expand, they're starting to snap the husks that are around the outside, the chaff, which will come off. And you might see some of it floating out of the pan here as I go. A few minutes later from now, they'll go into second crack. And second crack sounds a little different than first crack. It's more of a snapping up as opposed to a popping noise. See them changing color now? Kind of like popcorn, isn't it? So how long do you do this for? No hard and fast guidelines. Some of it is heat, some of it is air temperature. Mostly it's what do you want. I like a fairly dark roast, so I'm going to keep these on until they're quite brown. So the coffee I'm roasting today is from Sumatra. It's called a Sumatra bean. Normally if you buy Sumatra beans roasted already in the store, they usually have a dark roast. That's because Sumatra beans have their best flavor potential when they're roasted quite dark. Doesn't mean you have to roast them dark. You can roast them any degree you want. Once the beans go from first crack and then start moving into second crack, that's when you can stop. If you want them a little darker, just keep roasting. I stopped short of a full dark city roast, it's called, full city roast, which is a very dark oily roast. Just a little too dark for me. It loses some of the nuance, some of the flavor that the beans have. Gets to almost a caramelized state, quite oily. You may like it less intense, less dark. Experimentation. I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll bring them back just as they reach the darkness that I like. Now hopefully you can see these. Let's see if I can tip it down. Maybe you would even hear the snapping. You can see they're starting to get an oily sheen to them. And I take them off the fire now because as long as that pan is hot and those beans are hot, they are continuing to roast. So there's a few beans that aren't quite as dark as others, and that's fine. That'll give me a little bit of a medium flavor in with my darker flavors. Keep those beans moving around. Alright, let them cool off. I got to get some water onto a boil if I'm going to have coffee. Alright. Coffee beans, beautifully roasted. I just have to get them into my grinder now without spilling them. Oh, I lost one. Oh, lost two. That's alright, I had more than enough. Alright. Put the cover on. Grind away. My water is boiling already, so as soon as I get this done, I'll be able to use it right away. It's late afternoon here in Halifax, 5 o'clock. Sun's moving towards the west, still a lot of hours of light left. It was quite breezy earlier, but now, still. So still. Smoke from my fire is just going straight up in the air. This does take a few minutes. I have about an hour and a half, close to 2-hour hike to get back to my car. This will help a lot. Ooh, the smell of that fresh roasted coffee. Yeah, this is a lot of work. It really is. Could just as easily have opened up a little package of instant coffee, or brought some pre-ground coffee, or even some pre-roasted beans and ground them up here. They all would have been good. Coffee always tastes good in the woods. but none of them are going to taste like this will. I'm watching fish break all around me in the lake here. They're small fish, I believe. I wish I had the time to try my hand at it. There we go. I think we're just about done. Let's have a look. A couple beans left. I think if I was having coffee in the morning, I would do this the night before. I don't think I could wait this long. That was a sizable fish. May have to stop this video to get my fishing rod out. All right, here we go. They're all done. So all that fresh roasted coffee is now a powder. I don't know you'll be able to see it, but I'm going to pour it into my AeroPress now. Whew, intense. Let's get some hot water on it. It's one of the nice things about the long handle on the MSR pot. The handle is cold to the touch. That's hot. And that's just barely enough water. Now there's something, if you could see what's happening now, the coffee is boiling up over the top. I need a smaller stick to stir this with. What's happening is that'll happen with fresh roasted coffee. It's the carbon dioxide being released from the beans. It just seems to be alive when you pour water on it. That's actually how they refer to it is. The coffee is alive. A bit messy. Alright, I'll leave that set for a couple of minutes to steep, and then we'll have a cup of fresh roasted coffee. Alright, this has been steeping for about 5 minutes. Should be plenty good. Woo! That is a dark, strong roast of coffee. I don't know if you can see this, but my friends, if there's anything that can be called a perfect cup of coffee, this has to be it. Beautiful. Oh man, I may have to turn the camera around. The fish that are jumping here in the lake. Must be something about that late afternoon sun. Whew, what a day. Topped off by one of the best cups of coffee I think I've ever made in the woods. Well, it didn't turn out quite the way I had hoped. I thought I might be able to find a number of wild edibles along the way. Some medicinal mushrooms. Specifically, I was looking for some red-belted polypores and some turkey tail mushrooms. Chaga would have been nice. Didn't even some birch polypores, although I think it's a little early for those. They're probably just emerging on the trees now. That's okay. I found a few things that I'll show you in a later video. But it's these unexpected moments, like this late afternoon sunshine and the stillness of the air, that make it all worthwhile, topped off by a great cup of coffee. It's what keeps me coming back time after time. I hope for you, it gave you a little bit of motivation to get out yourself, go out and do some exploring, Maybe try roasting coffee if that's your thing. Don't forget to take your fishing rod. I'm regretting that now. But I'm going to have to wrap the video up now, as much as I don't want to, because I've got about a 2-hour hike to get home. So until next time, get out and explore. Take the path less traveled. I guarantee it will make all the difference. Bye for now.